Andreas Weigend. Many would consider you the world's greatest expert on the organizing, collecting, analyzing of data. How did you come to gain that expertise? You've had a marvelous career, but what was the path?
You know, honestly, I don't quite know where my love for data came from. But in the 80s, when I was an undergraduate, I worked not far away from here. I worked in Geneva at CERN, where at the time there were huge data collection engines where we did analysis and tried to find out where the models theorists, much smarter than me, built differed from the reality of the data we collected. The 90s then, where after my PhD at Stanford, I was a computer science professor, then information systems professor at NYU, where we looked at millions of T1 futures trades, trying to understand the patterns, not of elementary particles, but the patterns of people, of traders on Wall Street. And then later on, as the web came along, of course, the largest lab then, at some stage, was Amazon.com, where we did experiments, me as chief scientist there, on millions of people, trying to understand what they actually do as opposed to what they say they do.
And thus the predictive modeling we all experience and enjoy and appreciate at Amazon today, where if I like this book, certainly I will like this one as well. And of course that lifts Amazon's sales. Yes,
so I think the 90s was a decade of algorithms, where those who had the better algorithms actually were the ones which succeeded. For instance, Google at the beginning was great because they figured out better algorithms to make search predictions. The 2000s has not been the decade where, given a data set, give me insights, but given a problem, give me the data. So the 2000s has been the decade of data. And that means that those companies that manage to align incentives of the user, of the buyer, of the customer, with their own incentives for the customer to give data to the company are the ones which actually are doing well. Not the ones who just try in the background on dead data, segmenting and targeting customers.
So, to put it in other words, the past is about dead data, the future is about behavioral data and how to optimize it to grow a company's top line.
Yes, it's about live data, which means getting people reasons for sharing interests, incentives for them to share what they're genuinely interested in. And it's also about doing experiments, such as A/B tests, where you compare two situations and then see which one is doing better.
So what you teach now at Stanford or Berkeley over in China is an understanding of how technology is really interpreted by consumers' behaviors and how marketers can harness that data for their own use?
Yes, so it's not only marketers harnessing data for their own use, but it's marketers helping people make better decisions for themselves.
You famously say that we consumers think we know all about our decision making, but you say there are really three myths about how consumers make decisions, and those three are?
Well, people don't know what they want. People don't know what's out there, and even if they knew what was out there, they wouldn't know what they finally get. So my belief is that that actually is the biggest opportunity in marketing, because we can actually help people make better decisions. But as I said, better decisions for themselves in the long term, not shoving something down their throat, but empowering them to find that item which they genuinely actually want.
So what you're saying is all this new data in the world that we're giving off with our behaviors online and with our mobile phones and things really is a more accurate expression of how we make decisions. And if marketers can identify that, they not only are better able to serve the consumer, but market to the consumer themselves and grow their top line. So what does all this mean with that behavioral data? Are brands irrelevant given the kind of data marketers can now get, or given the kind of data consumers can get from each other with social networks, or are brands more important? What's the role of brands in this social data revolution?
Well, you know, I'm not an expert in brands, you are. The way I see it, however, is that brands served as the straws in the ocean of mass communication communicated to the customer. Now, if I want to buy a camera, a mobile phone, a computer, anything, the web knows often more about the item than what the website of the company tells me about it. So brands, in some way, as important as they were in a day when people didn't have a voice, now have to shift in understanding the earned brand. What do they do to genuinely make a good job, do a good job with the consumer? So it's no longer just that the PR department figures out what the aria should be, they compose waiting for the applause, but it should be how do they really build awesome products so people will be proud about them, as you have lots of examples.
We're so pleased to have you at Brandworks. I know you have invitations from all over the world all the time, and we're grateful that you accepted our invitation to come and speak. But what appealed to you about Brandworks? You have many sort of choices. Why did you choose Brandworks over other places you could be in May of 2010?
Like I could be not getting a substitute for my class at Stanford.
Yes, that's true.
So I want to learn about it. That's the honest answer. I know also that Dan Ariely, who is a dear friend of mine, we were just sharing a plane ride from Sao Paulo back to Washington about a couple of months ago, that Dan will be there. And I know that you have great speakers. You curate the conference amazingly well. And I view it as an opportunity to learn from great people and also from the people who come.
Thank you. We'll be thrilled to have you, and I look forward to continuing our dialogue here in Zurich and the dialogue we had in Berkeley a month or so ago, long into the future.
Thank you, Marsha.
You're a dear.
Bye.